I would like to talk to you about a little bit about memes and what I mean by this and how we use this. So the company that I'm leading in San Francisco is called CultureCulture. Culture is so important that we say it twice in the company, and we use what we call meme science for good listening, for finding patterns, and to be able to predict what's going to come in culture. This is some of the organizations that we work with. We usually work with companies and other organizations who actually wants to make the world a better place. For lack of a better description, basically we think that the capitalism as it is now is ready for some major changes, and there are some good examples and there are some heroes working on that, and we want to work with them in this culture change. For instance, we work with a group called Sustainable Brands. They encompass most of the big brands in the U.S., from Unilever to Coca-Cola, all the 40, 50 companies, part of them, you know their logos quite well, and they are working with all the sustainability directors in these big organizations to work to make their companies more sustainable. This guy should be Peter Drucker. I'm not sure if you see the guy here, and he said this quite a few years ago, that culture eats a strategy for breakfast, and we all know this. For the inside of the company, you really have to take care of culture, grow culture, and nurture culture to actually be able to grow your company in a way that you want it. What I want to point out here is that the same is true for the outer culture of the company. You can regard the consumers, the stakeholders around your company in the same way now that you were regarding your employers and the people inside your company in the past, because of the proliferation of the technologies, internet, social media, mobile phones, smartphones, you name it. The access and the back and forth kind of connection that you have with these folks, the opinion that they can have, the effect that they can have on your company could be just the same as they were inside the company. And in a sense, we are all culture designers. 10,000, like about 20, 30 years ago, there were about 10,000 culture designers on the planet. You know, executives of big movie companies, editors of big journals like the New York Times, etc. Not more than a few thousand people actually were able to design global culture. Were able to pick, you know, the next fashion trends. Were able to pick the next movie topics, or reach the next book or even political strategies shall be. We are living in a world of a billion culture designers. Everybody wants to design culture. Everybody wants to spread memes on the internet. If you look at Facebook, even Facebook now there is no more people on Facebook. It's all memes. Like, people are pushing memes, and people and the technology of Facebook and the algorithms of Facebook actually pushing this forward. And all you got is all the memes that people are sharing. And this is in a way very interesting, but in a way it's very good, since we are all creating a world around us in our culture, and we are trying to create culture outside, you know, in our friends' networks, in our company, and in a way that we try to we try to change what's possible by spreading these memes. What do I mean by that? I think that people can only realize what they first think about. There is no action that is not preceded by thought in the business world. So basically, by creating culture and creating memes and by spreading them, you can actually make things possible. I will give you some examples about that. And meme change is individual, but behavior change is social. So what you actually have to do is to figure out how to spread these memes, to create trends, to create potentialities in a more global way. There are at least 3 ways to shape culture. If you have a few billion forints in Hungary, or if you have a few $1 billion in the US, you can create big splashes of culture. You can buy media space. The last one, when I was still living here in Budapest, it was T-Mobile. that created a huge splash by basically turning Budapest into their way of pink. If you remember, the whole city was actually turned into the new color of T-Mobile, and thus they introduced their new brand and their new color, and they spent a few billion forints on it, but everybody knew what was going on. It was the new name and was the new color. There was no doubt about it. That can also be done in the US, for instance, for much bigger amount. Well, if you don't have that few $billion or forints, you can try to either surf the cultural waves that's already happening, or try to shape those waves for different reasons and with different matters. Let's see a few examples about that. There's a huge cultural wave in the States, or actually at least two of them, a little bit alike. One is called the Occupy America, and the other is called the Tea Party movement. Both of them are trying to change the shape of the American politics, the American culture in a way. The Tea Party is trying to hold the Republican Party accountable from the right, and the Occupy America try to do the same thing with the Democratic Party from the left, and both parties struggling with these huge cultural effects, both basically becoming from the name of the individual and in the individual power. Very interestingly, the Republican Party might actually fall apart on the pressure of the Tea Parties. Now it seems that they are getting out of it, and the old school Republican candidates are getting more votes than the Tea Party challengers. Occupy America has a very different effect. For instance, if you're following the elections in New York, we actually have now a governor in New York, Balazs Laszlo, who is running on the Occupy platform without a single mention of the actual Occupy platform. So basically what happened was that three years after the Occupy movement started in New York, Balazs Laszlo comes as a politician out of nowhere, runs on the same platform, and creates a huge splash, basically taking over 5 other candidates and winning the mayorship of New York. So, and in a sense, he's surfing the waves of the Occupy movement. Freedom torches was the meme that was invented by Edward Bernays when he wanted to hook women on cigarettes. There was a big suffragette march on New York, and he orchestrated these women to get cigarettes out of their stockings in the middle of the march on Fifth Avenue at a certain designated time, and light up their cigarettes. And this was called, he called it in the media that he also, spread these memes. He called these freedom torches, and the suffragettes were actually spreading the memes of freedom by lighting up the cigarettes. He doubled the market overnight for cigarettes. Women never smoked cigarettes before. Now, as cigarettes are very, very uncool in the States nowadays, you can start to read about what the advertisers were planning and were doing about cigarette advertising. And basically, there is this sentence that is still with me since I read it, that they said, "We are in the business of spreading doubt." Like that was how the advertising agencies saw themselves, which is quite evil if you think about it. Maybe it doesn't cause lung cancer. Maybe it's not that bad for your health. This is the sliver of doubt that the advertising agencies gave people to hold on to. The Marlboro Man died in lung cancer a long time ago. Same as Lucky Strike Girl. So the evidence was in everybody's family. Still, the advertising agencies were able to push a cultural agenda through the spreading of memes that maybe, maybe they died for that, maybe they died for some other causes. And the other shocking thing I heard in one of the Hungarian doctor's speech is that what she basically did is she did autopsies on other patients who were dead for other causes. And she saw that basically how far away all of the smokers were from dying of smoking. They just died from other causes before that. So it's crazy how the particular habit of smoking was able to be maintained for tens and tens of years by having at certain points doctors smoking. I think Camel was the cigarette, and so if you think about it, it's quite a crazy thing to smoke. Another big cultural splash these days, that this is this guy, if you heard about it, San Franciscans, we'd like to think of him as the guy from San Francisco, because he actually pushes memes very much in the ethos of San Francisco these days. He actually just gave out a big note about the bad forces of capitalism and how people should take care of each other better more. And you know, he takes selfies with people, as you can see. He makes random calls to people. Actually, he called up his, if you heard that story, he called up his own little corner store in back home in South America to say that he has to cancel the journal subscription because he's moving out of the city. So it seems to be that we have this huge cultural organization. They are pushing memes for, you know, as long as we know it, you know, for the past 2,000 years. And suddenly there is this person who actually changes the conversation by pushing out some very, very strong memes and creating like a huge cultural wave, shaping the culture of the Catholic Church in a way that nobody in my memory did, definitely in the past 50, 60 years. And here's this guy who recently got his new identity card. Again, nobody's seen him coming. Edward Snowden was a contractor by this company who does culture change for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. They bill $6.2 billion a year to try to shape how we think about the U.S. in the U.S. and abroad. And there comes the guy out of the company, and basically when he says that he saw his boss lie under oath in a congressional hearing, decides that probably this is not the company that he wants to work for. Booz Allen Hamilton was the company, and Edward Snowden is the guy, of course, and now he's trying to make people see in interesting little media appearances. He tries to single-handedly change the culture in the U.S. I'm not sure if you guys follow this very closely. This is very close to my heart, coming from communist Hungary when I was 10, 15. In the U.S., I see the same trends happening that I saw basically back home, probably before many of you guys' time. And I think that it's a very important fight that this guy is basically single-handedly fighting. In the background, the U.S. government has tens of hackers, the best hackers working already for the U.S. government, because they've been caught because of these surveillance systems, and they've been charged with lifetime imprisonment on the basis of the 1930 Spy Surveillance Act. That's what they use to against people who basically hackers and crackers. So they actually recruit these people because nobody wants to do time, for life in the U.S. penitentiary system. So basically they have like tens of these hackers, or 50, hundreds of the hackers working for them, and actually figuring out how to crack systems, how to make holes in legal, private softwares, for the U.S. to enter. It's a very interesting situation going there. I actually went to the U.S. looking for, like the torch of freedom and in the shining city on the hill, and I found communist Hungary 1985. Back to Hungary, of course. I'm actually happy that our government is pushing the Rubik's Cube very much these days. In New York, they just opened the Rubik House. Nobody knows that Rubik was a Hungarian guy, and everybody knows the Rubik's Cube. So if I would advise to them, like, one thing that they should push culturally to change the global culture regarding Hungarians, then that would have been the Rubik's Cube. So definitely a high five for that effort. And I, of course, even I tell everybody about Rubik because they know the cube. So that's a good point to say, like, oh, that was a Hungarian guy who invented it. There's another Hungarian who's very, very strong in memes these days. If you follow politics, he's now he's the guy who's trying to change Hungary and trying to change the Hungarian culture in a very new, into the very old and the very new format. And following him in the past 10 years, he's a master, he's a meme master. He knows how Hungarians think. He's the closest to the people right now and to the language that the people are using. And he's basically one of the few politicians, is not the only one, who can actually speak the language of the Hungarian countryside, the Hungarian vidék. There was a big debate, I think it was back in 2006 when he was in opposition, about the currency and how a weaker currency would be so much better for everybody who's exporting, and how GDP relates to exports. And there was a huge argument on how people should, how they should vote and push for a weaker currency. There comes Orbán, says strong currency equals strong nation, and that was done. Basically, that debate was done. His memes are much superior than anybody's on the other side, so we have to, I guess, wait for somebody with better memes to come up if anybody wants to change this system. This is on the power of memes. This is, if you didn't recognize it, this is the Sió csatorna. And the Sió csatorna is a canal leading out of Lake Balaton, and there is a lock on the Sió csatorna, or there was for many years, against the meme of people stealing water from Balaton through the Sió canal. Of course, nobody wanted to steal water, from Lake Balaton. Why would they? How would they? This kind of like, conspiracy theory to the max. But actually, the guys have to actually go there, and they went there and put a big lock on the zsilip, whatever that is, the gate, so nobody can actually go there at night and open it. Of course, they were not fighting a single person or an organization. They were fighting the meme. They were fighting the meme of this is happening, and the meme was so strong that they actually have to physically have these defenses up against the meme of somebody stealing the water from the lake. The same thing happened in San Francisco, for instance, in 1968. There was a huge meme that people will go out and put acid into the water reserve of San Francisco, and they will put the whole town on a huge acid trip, which arguably probably wouldn't be the worst thing. But if you added like all the acid produced from like 1937 to like 1968, probably there wouldn't be a very strong acid tip. In fact, there would be none effect, amounts to zero. Still, the National Guard, the mayor has to stand the National Guard to guard the water reserve, not against the people or any organization or the hippies, but the meme of this happening. So they had to present another meme, the National Guard, guarding the water reserves. And people were then saying, okay, that's cool, we are safe now, there's no massive acid trip coming.